Welcome to the 4th ASEAN-EU Cooperation and Scholarship Day. You are now in the reception area. Here is the list of events we have prepared for you. Click on the schedule button to get a reminder on your phone or devices. Just dropping in to see what's on? Find this little red button to see which event is currently live and just join the fun. Take the time to explore the expo area and see what have been prepared for you. Here on the booth panel, you can have a one-on-one Q&A session with our exhibitors. Download all the information that interests you, join workshops and sessions, or try out the games. Each session also has its own booth panel for you to interact with the speakers. To have a conversation with an expo representative, click Share Video and Audio. The booth moderator will allow you to have a conversation with them. Have something to say? Head on over to the Voice of Youth booth. Pick your virtual background and overlay and say it with a photo or video. Don't forget to follow and tag at EU in ASEAN when you post it on social media. You might be the lucky winner to get a special hamper from the EU. We're so excited to have you here, and we wish you a good time.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the 4th ASEAN-EU Cooperation and Scholarship Day 2021. I hope everyone here is well and has had the chance to look around the expo. My name is Nabila Ernada, and I will be your moderator today. Youth plays a crucial role in determining the future of ASEAN, and there are many ways to do activism. Yesterday, we had a session with 3 photographers from Malaysia, Vietnam, and Cambodia who use photography as their medium of choice to express their restlessness and activism. Head on over to the replay section on the left-hand sidebar to access the recordings of the session. If you've missed any other ones, you can also look at EU in ASEAN social media channels and YouTube. Today, we will be looking into other forms of art, and we are joined by 2 artists from Southeast Asia. The first is Leroy New, a Manila-based multidisciplinary artist whose practice intersects with different creative industries, including fashion, filmmaking, theater, public installations, product design, and performance. Leroy is driven by concepts of world building, myth making, and social change, and has worked on immersive, psychedelic, and arresting installations all over the world. Among his most notable collaborations and projects, he has sculpted a silicone bustier for Lady Gaga, a solo show at Pinto International in New York, exhibited at PDNE in the Nomad Hotel in Los Angeles, and Palais de Tokyo in Paris. This year, Leroy has been selected as one of the artists to create an installation for the next Burning Man Festival in Nevada, USA. Second, we have Not Panayanggul, aka Notep. Notep is an artist, musician, and conservationist based in Bangkok, Thailand, who focuses on creating art and music that enriches the viewer's spirituality and their love for nature. Notep's passion for the arts began in 2005, where she used it as an outlet for her creative energy, but it has since grown to become her life's work. Her dedication to perfecting craft has earned her multiple accolades and has allowed her to discover her true passion of using the arts to inspire and heal. This year, she focuses on her new project, High on Your Supply, which is a platform to guide people back towards themselves and their divine nature by teaching mindfulness and appreciation of nature through modern mediums such as technology, fun events, music, art, and adventures. And last but not least, we have the lovely Mr. Romero Sinaga from Uni Italia, who will be speaking about all your itchy scholarship questions you all have. Romero has been a consultant since 2018 at Asociazione Uni Italia, that is based at the Embassy of Italy, Jakarta. Romero is passionate and active in youth empowerment projects, especially in education and startup weekend training by Techstars. So, welcome panelists. Hello.
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 Hello, Nabila. Hello.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to have you all here. I think it's going to be a really interesting and creative session. So let's start. But before I start, I would like to maybe showcase a bit of Leroy's work so the audiences have a bit of a glimpse of what you do. So please, can we take a look at Leroy's video? Wow, so good.
Thank you.
I believe that was Wonder Fruit Festival 2017 in Thailand. Am I right?
Yeah, the bamboo structure over the water, yes.
Amazing.
Beautiful.
So, yeah. So, I think I can start off with my first question here for Leroy, and I'm sure everyone here would like to know more about as well. So, Leroy here started out as a sculptor, but throughout the years, you've sort of encompassed different forms of art, from theater, installation arts, and even fashion designs. If I were to ask you if you had a silver lining from all of the art you're doing, what is it that you're trying to communicate in all the artwork that you do?
Well, I'm particularly uh, involved in myth making, I would say, and in the I guess in the business of creating worlds, you have to know a little bit about everything, and so I'm not particularly attached to a one single medium because I believe that creative sensibility can be projected onto any medium or material or platform. Yeah, so yeah, you got to learn a little bit of everything in order to know how to build certain worlds.
And is there any specific message that you're trying to bring out from these worlds? Is there like one
Yeah,
core belief?
a lot actually. So, but generally, it's about creating our own visual language. I'm particularly fascinated by the language of sci-fi and how a lot of dominant sci-fi forms and representations leave out certain cultures. Particularly mine, growing up in the south of the Philippines. All the sci-fi, sleek, modern worlds that we've consumed as kids were made from developed worlds, targeted to a specific group of people. So, in my own small way, I engage in the physical transformation of my environment and the characters that inhabit it that relate specifically to my own context.
Wow, that's really interesting. And I really like the fact that you're trying to bring out some sort of representation that's closer to home. And I'm sure the audience here today in ASEAN feels a lot about that as well. And I'm really glad that in the past decade, we have so many artists and popular culture that has been referencing us and representing the ASEAN community a bit uh, more correct and more accurate to what's going on. Great. And out of everything that you've done there, there's quite a lot, even in the video presentation that you had. Is there any of the forms that work most effectively for you?
Um, well, I do get invited a lot these days to recreate my Aliens of Manila characters. So part of the task is I get invited to a place and I would collect materials and discards and other found objects in their recycling centers or their market districts, and I would transform these material artifacts that are specific to this place into kind of suits and costumes for explorations. Normally I would also get invited to create the immersive environments where these characters would inhabit. So yeah, it's all related. And with these suits, these aliens of Manila exploring different countries, I guess I'm also referencing the overseas Filipino worker phenomenon, which I think I am a part of. I go overseas to provide a specific service. Mine is creative, but it's not that different from the other Filipinos who provide, a care service or boatmen, seamen, and yeah, as entertainers. My mom's a nanny in the States, so I think my Aliens of Manila series kind of talks about that as well.
Okay, that's really interesting. If any of us kind of want to take a look at the Aliens of Manila, artwork that you have, where can we see it?
Well, most of it is online on my
Mhm.
Instagram account. I have an Instagram account dedicated to the Aliens of Manila project, but you can also see the process for creating these characters in my own personal account at newleroy. At Instagram at newleroy.
Okay. Thanks so much, Leroy. I'm definitely going to check that out after this, and I hope you
Thank you.
guys too at home. So I'm going to take a look at Note's work right now. Note here is from Thailand, and she has been doing a lot of different, same as Leroy, a lot of multidisciplinary art practices. And we're going to look at her most recent work right now. So we can play the video. Wow. Hi, Note. Do I call you Note or Notep?
Yeah.
Do I call you Note?
That's fine.
Note.
Like musical note.
Okay. Did you want to go on? You can.
Yeah, so that work was actually from my exhibition 2 years ago. And it's actually this big breathing machine that when I breathe into it, the paintbrush is like 2.5 meters tall and it moves according to the sound of my breath. And so my art talks a lot about like mindfulness, the power of breathing. And then recently I've moved into the topic of environmental conservation. So how like when we are conscious about ourselves, we start seeing other things around us and then we want to take care of our environment around us as well and like, make it a better place. And so my work right now kind of thrives towards advocating about environmental conservation. And for me, like, first of all, like, I'm so honored to be here today and to be in a talk with Leroy as well as like he's been in the art world for a very long time. For me, I just started 3 years ago, but before that, I was a singer and a musician. So with that, I had like a follower who are following my creativity. And so when I started art, like I could use that to advocate what I believe in. And to me, art is not just creating beautiful things, but it's like getting the message out to the world, what I want to say. And for me, I feel like because I have this platform of followers already, I want to like make the most use of it. I want to use it to like talk about mindfulness and also environmental conservation because I think it's very important nowadays to talk about it. And yeah, I feel like art is my medium and my tool to be the change I want to see in the world. I mean, that's my favorite quote as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you produce that video by yourself as well?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. If any of you are wearing headphones at home, you could really sort of hear the immersive breathing.
Yeah.
I just felt a whole experience there just watching it and listening to it. So that was really good. Maybe I have a quick question. What got you into I guess you were already a musician before, but what made you want to transition into environmental conservation and getting a bit more conscious about nature?
I think it's because as like for my occupation, for my job, like I get to travel to so many beautiful places around the world all the time. And seeing that, I see that okay, if like we don't stand up and do something about it, if we just keep on like going to places and taking things from the environment, it's not gonna last forever. It's not sustainable. And so I feel like because I already have this platform of followers and people who are looking up to me for whatever, like I feel like I want to use that to tell them what's the real deal about this world, why we need to stand up and do this and yeah, conserve the environment.
No, that's good. So I think that's great that you are aware of the platform that you have and aware of the issues that are more close to us and wanting to use it as a form of advocacy. So I've read on your site that you've been using different platforms and different forms to sort of communicate this message. How has that been in terms of how you're talking about how you're advocating to your followers and maybe the community? What have you been doing and how effective has it been so far in the past 2, 3 years? Yeah.
Yeah. So I really believe that when we talk about serious issues like mindfulness or environment conservation or mental problem or anything like that, we want to approach it in like a positive way. Like that's what I believe because there's so much negativity in those topics already, and one can stand like some negativity for like a certain time. But if you approach it with positivity, I feel like you can kind of slowly get the message to the people better. And also, I feel like art, music, or other fun platforms, mediums, they talk and they communicate to people more than the conscious level. They talk to them emotionally and to their subconscious, and it lingers inside them more. And like they might not even know it, but they will start doing things that they're subconsciously believe in, and without realizing it, they're like, oh, I'm actually recycling, or doing like things for myself, like I'm actually meditating or thinking about my like mental state or whatever. So yeah, I feel like using art and creative platforms and fun platforms to talk to people, it really gets to them subconsciously and it works better.
Yeah, it's definitely not something that's, something yelling at your face. It's something that sort of submerges slowly. And I think it's really good what you're doing. And I'm excited to sort of keep updating and seeing the work that you do. So thank you, Note.
Thank you.
So I'm going to invite Romero up to be right next to me here. And I have a couple of questions for you. Hello.
Hello, Nabila.
So, hi. This is a question from myself as well. I think a lot of people sort of have the thinking that art is an ability that we are born with. And it's a profession that you don't really need to go to school for. Like it's something that you developed maybe since you were a little girl or boy. So, I want to ask: do you think it's important to go to art school?
Well, it depends for someone to see on yourself what kind of gifted that God to give you and a gifted, and based on we saw from the both artists coming from Philippines and Thailand, Leroy and Note, both of them are so talented. They focusing on their characteristic, and I love the way Leroy mentions that regarding about the creative sensitivity, which
Mhm.
means it could create your characteristic of what kind of art that you can will explore more about, and also talking about the art itself and how you see point of view from the people to see yourself regarding the art gifted in yours. So well, actually not so many people having that gifted. For those you have a sense, sensibility, and also the creative, and then you create your own characteristic in your arts, which means you are like one step forward from the others based on your own characteristic, which means you have to be proud, and it was very important to us to appreciate and also respect regarding their characteristic. Maybe that's all, Nabila.
Okay, so it's sort of to add more to what you have and sort of hone the
Yes.
skill sets and sharpen them. Sure, I definitely agree. Another question, still about art and school. So, what if I love art, but I'm not necessarily good at it? I can't draw, I can't paint, or I still don't have the art thinking. Is there anything related to art that perhaps I could study?
Yes, actually, you can explore more about the art skill that you would like to explore. Especially, I will inform you regarding from Italian perspective here, because the government of Italy are really focused regarding arts. We call it as AFAM institutions. AFAM institutions means the school for the music and arts. That's only focusing music and arts. And also remember, for the art school itself, it more expensive compare you go to the formal university. So remember that when you go to the art school and you want to explore more about your art skill, which means you have to be proud, because in Europe, especially in Italy, the government fully supporting, and then also regarding the investment that you have to be invested to the school, which means quite expensive compared you saw your friends going to formal university. And also remembers what kind of art that you would like to focus on, especially I would like to highlight regarding the part arts, either painting based on our artist notes that focusing on painting, and also another sculptures creativity that our artist mentions from Leroy from Philippines, which means both of them focusing and in their own perspective of the fine art itself, sculpture or painting or the other um, arts, a world that we can explore more.
Yeah, if anyone here has any questions or is really interested to find out more about Italian schools that focus on the arts, so I think Romero mentioned music and arts as one of the main streams. You guys can ask a question here or even at the Uni Italia booth. So thank you,
So
Romero. Oh, yeah,
Nabila,
go on.
can I a very short additional info here?
Of course, go ahead.
I would like to invite you for those we are in ASEAN member states. We are ASEAN. We proud as ASEANs. If you would like to explore more about our ASEAN identity, ASEAN creativity, and ASEAN innovative, so which means you can explore more. You can going beyond to Europe, and then you can come to Italy to explore your art skill and then your creativity to create your brand own art skill that you have. So it means you should be proud and then explore your skill more in Europe and proud to be ASEAN.
Oh, thank you. That's very inspiring. I think that was close to what Leroy mentioned with his Aliens of Manila project. I think you're bringing in a bit of you into the art and trying to represent that to the world. So, thank you for that, Romero. I'd like to invite Leroy Noit back up here to sit next to me, and we're going to talk a bit more about advocacy and visual activism that you guys do. So, perhaps you two can briefly share to all of us the process of how exactly you turn the restlessness or concerns that you have into an art concept. So maybe we can start from Leroy.
I guess at this point, with the work that I do, I try to uh, use my creative practice as a platform or as the means to provide specific solutions to the issues or concerns that I encounter. Something as basic as like lack of resources or like um, the amount of waste that we produce. Like how do right now I'm particularly focused on creating my own in my own small way. I practice that is circular. Like I during the pandemic, the lockdown in the Philippines, there was so much concern for the lack of resources during the time when ports were closed, resources weren't coming in, like transportation mobility was an issue, um, and I did not want to rely on like materials that were really practical in this situation. So I looked towards my own community, asking for donations for plastic bottles. They sent them my way via delivery services, or I would pick them up when I could. And I took it on as a challenge to use materials that were available. That it just became more clear that that this pandemic might have been, the result of a strained relationship between men and their environment. I mean, humanity, uh, not just men, of course, everyone. And yeah, so that was one thing that is one example for how I use uh, my training and my sensibility to provide viable solutions to the things that we face on a daily. Yeah.
Okay. Note, did you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the same as Leroy. He said almost everything. But for me, I like to make my work like makes my audience feel and like talk to their like what I was mentioning before, not just consciousness, but like what's below their consciousness or subconsciousness, and but also leave room for them to feel and figure out that whatever emotion they're feeling is as well. Um, yeah, like I mean, the subject that I talk about, like I told you, it's not a very positive subject, and so by doing so, I just want my audience to get as emotional as possible to my subject and my concept, and being able to just make them feel, I guess. Yeah.
How do you usually brainstorm or like, yeah, how do you get that emotional appeal or like when you're trying to communicate something in an emotional level, like what are the things that usually you do to get that? Maybe Leroy, you can answer this as well.
So for me, like ideas comes to me when I'm the most like in the most comfortable like state. So I don't try to force it. I just kind of let it sit in my head and just relax. So it comes to me mostly when I'm like about to go to bed or when I'm traveling. And yeah, I think the best idea comes like that for me.
Okay. So I think both of you said things about, well, for Note, it's something where she's very comfortable and, uh, yeah, you want to deliver something honest, I guess. So I feel like it makes sense for you to be in the most sort of relaxed and mindful situation to get that. And with Leroy, you mentioned about creating a sort of circular way of doing art, and I think looking into the community and looking at the problems or issues that might be close to us and sort of resourcing from there. That's also a really great output. I think yesterday we had a talk on circular economy, and we had an artist from Bangkok who did something very similar. And her work is to sort of represent the waste problem there. So it's really good that we're just looking at things that are nearby from us, and there's actually a lot of things that you can do from it. So I hope people here are inspired to do that. And one last question for all of you here. If you guys have any tips for the audience to be able to start using art as a medium for activism. Romero, would you like to start?
Well, I just like to say that what kind of character, then what kind of uniqueness that you have in yourself. Just show yourself to others, and then you can show to your community, and then show it to the environment surrounding. So don't be shy, just explore and explore more about your uniqueness and characteristics. Thank you.
Thank you. Note?
I think using art to advocate activism is the best thing because, like what I said before, like when you talk about a negative subject, it's good to bring in the creative, the fun, the positive side into it. And I feel like if you want to go like out in the streets and talk about your beliefs, you just like start doing that and like without anything yelling in the street about your beliefs, people are gonna think you're crazy. But if you go out there, you have an installation or a sculpture or a painting with you, or if you're doing a performance, people are going to want to listen. And so I think that's what is the difference. So yeah.
Thank you, Note. And last, Leroy?
Well, I think especially here now, I've seen so many instances of how art and design and in general a creative practice can be harnessed to portray and reflect and the current issues of the day. It's a our practice is a way of responding to the world, and we are within the world, and we are not a part of it. I mean, we're not separated from it. So there were so many political issues, I mean, ongoing right now in the Philippines. And it was just so uh, great to see how we've turned towards art as a way of voicing out our concerns, calling out our government to do better, just to make plain, simple statements to declare support for those who have been wronged or who are in need of support. So yeah. So it's a one way of harnessing what we do to like inform and to use our platform as a means for disseminating the right kind of information and a sense of collectiveness. So yeah, it's been very effective during this entire lockdown period in the Philippines.
Thank you, Leroy. When we're talking about advocacy, I think searching for support either it's from the community or from the government. That's the main goal, really, and it is a very big collective effort from everyone. And what you guys do, other artists are doing something similar. Some people might be using, just digital activism, even just using Twitter as a platform. And I think all of them go hand in hand together to convey the same message. So I'm really appreciative that you guys exist here and represent the ASEAN community really well. And I hope for all of the audiences, if you guys want to get into the art world or get into art activism, you guys can follow them on Instagram and take a look at their work, or you can ask them questions on the comment box, and I'm sure our panelists are happy to answer them. And for you guys who are looking for any scholarship opportunities for school at Italy, you guys can go to Uni Italia's booth in the expo section. They have a couple of brochures and they have a live Q&A there. So I'm going to wrap up the session. And just a reminder to everyone to head over also to the Voice of Youth booth and take a picture of yourself or record a video, tag EU and ASEAN on your social media channels, and share your thought on today's session. The best photos and comments will be shared on EU and ASEAN's channels and receive a surprise hamper from us. Thank you, everyone, and I hope to see you in another session at the 4th ASEAN EU Cooperation and Scholarship Day 2021. Bye.